Hi all, we will start our program within 5 minutes. We'll wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll start. Hi all, thank you all for joining. I'm Rosella, Venture Associate from Channel Next, and I would like to welcome you all to the session. I'm sure all of you are aware that today's main concern of the security world is privilege misuse. And it is one of the top cybersecurity threats, mostly because of the devastation that it causes, because mostly it causes expensive losses and it can even cripple the businesses. So, what can we do? And that's where PAM as a solution comes into action. PAM, Privilege Access Management, helps to safeguard privilege access, users, and credentials against potential threat and also security breaches. As this is a current hot topic, all of us are curious to know what we can expect from a complete PAM solution. So it's our pleasure to introduce RevBits PAM solution to you all. We are joined by Muktaba, CTO, and Stephen, VP of Sales from RevBits. They will be giving an overview of their solutions and a technical dive into their PAM solution and its features. Finally, we will have a Q&A session. So please do share any questions you have in the chat box. We hope to have an interaction and make this 1 hour worth our time. So thank you all. Over to you, Stephen.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. I'm going to start by sharing my screen with all of you. Just 1 second. There we go. So, let me bring up this. So I hope everybody can see my screen now. Our solution to you. So today's webinar is about next generation PAM and also obviously the implementation of the next generation PAM in the form of RevBits PAM. So before we dive into the product, so what we're going to do is I'm going to start off with an overview of the product in terms of features and functions and differentiators. And then we will be joined after, depending on how long it takes, but 20 minutes or so, by our CTO, 𝗚𝗲𝗁𝘁𝗀𝗃, who is the technical brain behind all of the RevBits products. So he will take you for a demo and a really deep dive into RevBits PAM wherever required. So just to start with a little background on RevBits, because I can assume not many of you have heard of us, but we are a young and ambitious cybersecurity company. We were founded in 2016 and we started out as a service provider to mainly banks and insurance companies in Manhattan, New York. And while doing so, and you can imagine that the banks and insurance companies have lots of solutions, we basically saw them all. And when seeing them all, we still decided that there were so many problems out there with all of the solutions which we work with, that we decided to create our own solution set. So it's been developing. We've been developing it for a little over 4 years, and we launched it in the middle of last year. And we have basically launched solutions for email security, endpoint protection, deception technology, and then the ones which we will do a deep dive in today is the RevBits Privileged Access Management. A link to that is our Zero Trust networking solution. So the idea is, and that's also what we will be repeating today, is that we have seen everything, all of the products which are in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. We want to deliver next generation solutions, overcoming the typical flaws of those things. We've been working closely together with Gartner to identify those gaps and to position ourselves. So very a lot of effort going on to that. And in terms of offices, so we have offices in the US and in Europe. And for the region, the Gulf region, we have an exclusive distribution agreement with Channel Next. So therefore, we are hosting this. They are hosting this seminar for us today. So this is a bit of a screenshot of our RevBits cyber intelligence platform. So we have launched our solutions, which are to be implemented separately. So our RevBits PAM product, which we will show today, runs completely separate. But also, if a company would decide to deploy multiple of the RevBits solutions, we have done already predefined integrations between our products to better protect our customers. For example, if you would run our privileged access management, but also our RevBits endpoint security, and we see there is an attack on an endpoint within your company, then we can use automatically our privileged access management solution to disable the accounts of the person which's laptop was under attack. So RevBits solutions to be deployed separately, they compete with the top products in their segment, but also when deployed together, they are integrated and they work together. So that's why we have created our marketing slogan for our RevBits CIP platform, Cyber Intelligence Platform, as being every CISO's dream, just having one central place to have a look at the components of your cyber intelligence, of your cyber security stack. Anyway, so that's in terms of a general introduction. Just bear with me. I understand that there's a lot of engineers on the call which want to go really deep, and that's what we're going to do. But I just want to start a bit at the high level to get everybody on the same page, and then we can go deeper into PAM. So as said in the introduction, privileged access management is a critical component of the cybersecurity posture these days, and sometimes it's also called privileged identity management. But basically the idea behind a PAM solution is that you're going to monitor, manage, and control the usage of privileged accounts. If you look at our friends for Gartner, they say basically the same thing. But the idea and the goal of PAM is to secure your privileged access to the critical assets and meet the compliance requirements. We see more and more these days that all over the world, implementing a PAM solution has become a default requirement for gathering all kinds of certification. So the PAM market is on the rise. There have been historically a number of solutions out there. We've seen them all, and we want to improve on what they've brought. So also, and this is not different between all of the solutions in the market. So in general, how does a PAM work? It basically works by, instead of allowing the end user to log into the servers or critical assets in a direct way, they're going to put the user profiles and the passwords for accessing those assets in a central vault. And then whenever a user wants to connect to a certain asset, he needs to either retrieve the username and password from a vault, or the vault will connect him automatically to the asset, right? So the idea is to bring together all of the credentials for the privileged accounts in a central place, and to monitor and secure them, to make that much easier than to have all the passwords lying around either in a spreadsheet or on a piece of paper, or even worse, only in the head of the administrators. So basically professionalizing and the monitoring and controlling and securing all of the privileged accounts. So if we're talking about PAM, you're talking about privileged users, but also about privileged accounts. And this is also first differentiator which you will see in terms of the solutions. There are some solutions out there who are only going to secure and monitor the privileged users, meaning people doing something in an interactive sessions. And so privileged users, you all know, so IT administrators, local administrators, database administrators. These days, more and more with the cloud coming up, the SaaS administrators. So really being the interactive users. But next to that, privileged accounts are also typically used into machine-to-machine communications. There are a lot of Windows services which are running under privileged accounts. There are applications which, for example, need administrative access to databases to do some stuff. There is SaaS consoles, there are IoT accounts which are being used. So the privileged usage, or PAM, giving you a secure 360-degree coverage of your privileged usage, needs to cover both the users, but also the machine-to-machine accounts. Not all PAM solutions out there do that. So PAM sits basically inside the overall umbrella of the identity and access management. You could see PAM as a subset of identity and access management, in the sense that identity and access management wants to authenticate and authorize everybody within the company and even outside the company, partners and customers. Where PAM wants to do the same thing, but PAM is strictly focusing on those accounts with privileged or admin access, right? So it's a subset, it's a complement, it's basically in the space of the identity and access management. Now, why is PAM coming up? So why is PAM getting to be a requirement? Obviously, that if you see a lot of cyber breaches or customer security breaches inside the press, you see that a lot of times security breaches are coming from weak or stolen passwords. And obviously, which kind of passwords, which kind of accounts are hackers out there to make use of? The ones that are the most powerful, which are obviously the privileged accounts. So those are the top targets for attackers. So that's why the PAM systems are being deployed more and more to just basically improve the security posture for your privileged access. It's okay. I mean, you don't want any user account being stolen and password being stolen, but certainly not the ones for the privileged accounts. Okay. So I was talking about the PAM market size and the adoption. I haven't seen any numbers for 2021 yet, but I'm quite sure that the curve is rising exponentially. So you see the uptake of PAM is really, really, really going fast. So I said before, we have worked with all of the solutions. We are working with Gartner in our market approach. So it's appropriate I show you the Gartner Magic Quadrant for PAM solutions. There is not so many in the sense that if you look, for example, in the other sectors which we compete, like endpoint protection or email security, there's like 80, 100 vendors out there. There is a rather limited set of vendors on here. I trust it's going up probably in the future, but these are the ones. So we have basically been benchmarking ourselves against the leaders in the Magic Quadrant and improving on those, right? So those were clearly our goal. Okay, that's so far enough for the generic introduction into PAM and privileged access management. I assume that's kind of clear. If there's any questions, please let me know. But now let's go into RevBits PAM. So as I said, RevBits PAM, just like our other solutions, we are aiming to deliver next generation functionality, and now we're going to dive a bit deeper into what's the next generation aspect of it? Where are we better than all of the solutions out there? So first of all, our RevBits PAM solution has quite a broad footprint. So what do? We do the privileged access management, which means the onboarding of the company's assets and managing the privileged access. So that's basically the bare bone, the core of the system. Next to that, we have privileged session management, where you're going to monitor and control and record sessions on assets which are not your own. For example, if you run a SaaS-based service like a Salesforce, you can also record sessions onto Salesforce or any other external asset which you want to connect to. So privileged session management and access management are basically the same in functionality. The difference is that in one you own the assets, on the other one you don't own the assets. So that's the core of the system. Next to that, we have included in our PAM system a full-blown personal password manager. So for those accounts and passwords that are not privileged, that you don't want to onboard to the PAM solution, we also have a full-blown personal password manager, which is like a LastPass or a Dashlane or a OnePass, which you can download. But it basically, by adding it to our PAM solution, it will restrict the number of vendors which you need for accomplishing those tasks. We also have CI/CD integration. So if you have a lot of development ongoing, typically in the development environment, there's also a lot of usage of privileged accounts and passwords to be able to create packages, run packages, check some code out, check some code in. So also there we have an extensive CI/CD integration with most of the modern CI/CD systems. What we also just launched, this is the most recent addition to our portfolio, is that we launched a zero trust networking module, which basically is a replacement for VPN. VPNs have a lot of security issues, and I'll come back to that later. The zero trust networking is basically a much more robust and secure alternative for granting remote access to your environment. So that's also part of our PAM portfolio. We also have certificate management, so we will be scanning for you have the ability to scan your environment, your corporate environment for weak certificates, for problematic certificates, and you can manage the certificates from within PAM. And also, if you use corporate keys to do encryption or all kinds of things, we have a full-blown key management system as part of the PAM solution. So it's quite a broad solution. As we go, one of the things which we typically do is we take up customer requirements and we integrate those into the core of our products. You will see, and I'll get back to it a bit later, some of the things which we've developed and which are unique to us have been driven by our customers' requirements. So that's RevBits PAM. So on a high level, and we'll dive a bit deeper into each one of these in the next slides, is what are the next generation PAM requirements? Well, fast and easy deployment, both local and in the cloud. So as companies are going to the cloud these days and are maybe moving in from a hybrid, from an on-premise environment to a hybrid one to a cloud environment, you want a PAM solution which is easy and flexible to be deployed, to be installed, and to be running in those environments, and also to secure assets both locally and in the cloud. And there are solutions out there which take a lot of time to be installed, a lot of time to be implemented. With RevBits PAM, you're talking about days instead of weeks or months. So complete flexible stuff. We'll come back to that. We want zero software footprint on the assets and clients. We want not for a next generation PAM solution, as we want it to be as flexible and as transparent as possible. We don't want any software to be installed. We want a scalable and open architecture to be easily integrated into your corporate IT stack. The fourth one, which is probably the most important one, but I'll go deeper into that one in a second. We want frictionless usage and 360 coverage for all privileged access, meaning that if you're going to secure your privileged access, you want to secure it from any angle. You don't want to say, we only secure you if you want to go through this tool on this platform. No, it needs to be full coverage. Also, supporting the entire PAM process, the whole workflow from requesting access, granting, monitoring, auditing, and archiving. Basically, the full life cycle of privileged access. I also already talked about hybrid environments and automation for onboarding cloud assets. And then also in terms of the secure remote privileged access, as a lot of people have external parties which need privileged access, you also need to be able to secure those in a very, very functional, but very, very secure way. So those on a high level are the next generation PAM requirements, and also where RevBits PAM differentiates itself from the competition. So in terms of the architecture, in terms of how does RevBits PAM work, we are a jump server based solution. That's a very conscious decision. We're not the only jump server based solution in the market. There's a few others. We do other things much differently. We'll come back to that later. But we are a jump server based architecture, which makes that we don't need to install any software on the clients or on the servers or on the assets you want to protect. So basically, instead of having the client connecting directly to the corporate asset, we will have the client connecting to the jump server. The jump server will get the credentials from the PAM server, and it will log the user into the corporate asset and to the corporate server. So zero install on the clients and the servers. And why is this important? There are some competing solutions out there which are going to record or going to install recording software on the client, meaning that they basically act like a screen recorder, recording everything which you do locally. And we think that from a secure, first of all, from a administration perspective, that's a bit strange in the sense that then only the computers which have the software installed will be monitored. And then secondly, if you're going to record something locally, even if you transfer it later, there's always the possibility for someone to block the recording or tamper the recording. We don't want anything which has to do with access to your corporate assets in a privileged way to be managed locally. That is really, really a bad idea. We do have some optional software which you can install either on your laptop, on your Mac, or whatever you want, for easy access to assets. So just a one-click access and secure access to your asset, that is available, but that's really optional. If you don't want to install anything, that's fine too. All right. Inside RevBits PAM, we also use zero knowledge encryption. So in the browser and on the PAM server. So whatever happens, if anyone is able to look at what you are doing, is capturing the communication between the client and the assets, they will never be able to see the password. The password is completely, first of all, it's going to be the RevBits PAM password and not the actual password of the asset. But secondly, it's encrypted in the zero knowledge encryption. So very, 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 very secure. No other company out there is using the zero knowledge encryption. So I hope from a high level architecture that this is clear. Like I said, this is not completely unique. But what makes unique are the other aspects, which we'll be covering right now. And the one that is probably differentiating RevBits PAM the most from the competition is the fact that we use our native clients. Native clients allow for a PAM solution to be used without any friction and to cover everything. What do I mean by that is that before you implement a PAM, you will have administrators which use a multitude of tools to manage their servers. It will be 𝗏𝗏, it will be 𝗡𝗲𝘅𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏, it will be 𝗏𝗏𝘅𝘶𝗏𝗏. There's a number of the tools out there. And most of the PAM solutions out there only allow you to use a subset of these tools, or they even need to install a subset of these tools to be able to monitor and track and record whatever those people are doing. We think that's a bad idea. The idea behind RevBits PAM was that whatever you're using today, you can still use that. And all of the privileged access goes through RevBits. There is no exceptions. There is no people going on the side to do some other stuff, because that's really breaking your PAM security posture. And this is enabled by what we call our RevBits native clients. So what is a native client and how did we get to it? A native client is basically us reverse engineering all of the protocols that we want to support, and you can see them below. So VNC, SSH, RDP, Telnet, Oracle database, SQL Server database, MySQL, Postgres, Cassandra, so it's basically almost anything. So we reverse engineered the protocols, and we basically created a native clients which allows the full functionality of the original protocol, but going through the RevBits PAM server. So it's basically all the tools that you are using today for any of these protocols. They are completely supported, but you will be routed through RevBits PAM. Okay? We are the only solution out there who has the native clients for all operating systems. Meaning that everything which you're using today to do your administrative access is supported, but also if you want to change it for the future, there is no limitations. So we don't need to change anything. We have no limitation of possibilities. We have no tricks necessary to record sessions. Okay, so this might be a bit theoretical, but let's give you two examples of what this allows us to do. For example, if you have a database administrator you want to monitor privilege use. And in this case, for example, it's an Oracle database, but it really doesn't matter. It's for any other database. And typically this person is currently using Oracle SQL Developer for database management. With RevBits, no issue, because we give him a native client. He still uses the Oracle SQL Developer, and he can work exactly the same way he was doing before. In the case of you using the market-leading tool in terms of Gartner, CyberArk, not to name it, they don't support Oracle SQL Developer, and the only way for them to record some database management activity is if you're going to install 𝗏𝗏𝘅𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏 for Oracle on the CyberArk server, and then there's a whole lot of configuration and workflow which you need to do before being able to monitor the stuff within 𝗏𝗏𝘅𝗏𝗏, right? So that's quite a difference. And on top of that, what we are able to do, which nobody else in the market can do, is that once we set up a database session through our native client, we are going to record all of the sessions at a SQL statement level. So others will do maybe video recording or keystroke recording, but we monitor the database, and because we have the native client, we can see all the SQL statements which are being executed. All right? So this is the way it looks. So this was, I think, it's a Cassandra database. And you can see here that if we are going to look at the logs from the session, that we see up to the SQL statement level what's happening to the database in question. So this saves you the money of purchasing another tool for database administration management, right? So nobody else has that. Another example of why the native clients are better than the rest. So in the case of SSH, if some of the customers is using an SSH session, and they're mainly using that, and in most of the cases, because SSH is quite a secure protocol in which you can do SSH tunneling, port forwarding, and so forth and so on. If you have RevBits PAM, whatever client you use to run your SSH session, it's completely supported on any platform, and we will video and keystroke record your SSH session. With other solutions in the market today, I'm not sure if this is CyberArk or another one, but basically what they're doing is, instead of doing, because they don't have a native client for SSH, what they're doing is they start an RDP session and they start an SSH client, in this case 𝗏𝗏𝘅𝗏𝗏𝗏, on top of the RDP session. So it's not, and then they're able to record. But the problem is, so they're not running an SSH session, they're running an RDP session, which is much more insecure than the SSH protocol. So you can't do the tunneling, the port forwarding, all that stuff. You completely lose that. So that's another example of where the native clients come in and they make the difference. So if you need to remember one thing from today's session, I think the native clients are what it is, right? Then, in terms of other requirements, so for the complete PAM process, so the way PAM works, as you know, so people need to have access to an asset, they need to request it, somebody needs to give them access to the asset, and then we can start monitoring, auditing, and archiving. So a real next generation PAM solution supports everything. We see most of the solutions out there focusing on the monitoring and auditing and maybe archiving of the solutions. But in terms of requesting and granting assets, there is very, very little there. What we have done, and this was based on a customer requirement, is we have created a full-blown, sophisticated workflow configurator and engine. So where with other solutions, you would need to do some manual work or configuration files. Within RevBits PAM, you will be able to visually create workflows for granting, for requesting and granting access to authenticated So with the full advantage that you have a complete history of requests and approvals. So in terms of auditing, that's a very, very big advantage. That's also something which we are unique to. For web application monitoring, we said before that these days a lot of people are moving to SaaS. And if you want to be able to monitor the usage of privileged accounts in a SaaS environment, most of the PAM vendors out there, they have a fixed list of applications. So they see an application, they create a connector for that, and then you can use this. With RevBits PAM, we are implementing a universal approach where you just say to RevBits PAM which web application you want it to be. Either it's going to be something which is local, which you develop yourself, or something third party. And you don't need to rely on us being fast of creating the connectors for you. But basically, RevBits PAM will out of the box create the connectors on the fly for you to be able to record those sessions. So also quite a differentiating feature for RevBits PAM. And then the last one, which I want to discuss before we move to a demo, maybe a deep dive, is that we just added also to our portfolio a RevBits Zero Trust Networking module, which is linked to PAM and has sharing some features with PAM in the sense that Zero Trust Networking is a replacement for VPN. A lot of companies are using VPN these days. The problem with VPN is that you're taking an outside computer and you're plugging it inside your network in terms of visibility to assets and potential exposure. So a lot of security problems with VPN. Zero Trust Networking takes a different approach, whereas VPN takes the outside computer and plugs it inside your corporate network. With Zero Trust Networking, you're going to create a secure tunnel from the outside to one specific asset within the company. And there is zero visibility outside of that. So much, much more secure solution and a more secure way of granting external access to your systems. That can be access for privileged users, but also access for regular users. So those people who are using VPN today can also use a ZTN solution. And within there, we have the same abilities as within the PAM solution of recording, keystroke recording, and video recording your sessions. So I'm gonna let's skip the technical details for now, otherwise we're gonna run out of time. So summary before we go to the demonstration. So RevBits PAM, the differentiators, we are a next generation PAM with a very broad footprint, a modern scalable architecture. So everything which we saw in terms of the jump servers is fully load balanced and highly available. There's nothing to be installed on the systems. We have the native clients. We can run locally, we can run on the cloud, we can manage access for local and cloud-based assets. You will see the user interface in the demo. We also have automatic onboarding of cloud-based assets. So if you're working with the major cloud providers, instead of you manually having to configure those servers into your RevBits PAM, it will be automated. We will discover it and onboard it. The workflow designer engine we discussed, the ZTN module we discussed, it's very open software. We have an extensive set of APIs. So everything which you can do manually, you can also do through APIs. We are extensible and customizable. We have some customers which are cloud management companies. They wanted some specific functionality, which is easy to do. It's implemented in days instead of weeks and months. And as we are a next generation solution, we are often migrating from legacy products, from older products, to RevBits PAM. We have automated for some vendors, like I think it's 𝗚𝗲𝘃𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗴𝗏𝗃 and 𝗡𝗏𝘅𝗃𝗏𝗃. We have created automation for reading those configuration files from those solutions straight into RevBits for a fast implementation. So that's in terms of general feature function overview. I think, I'll skip this one. I'll share the presentation with all of you for downloading, but that was in terms of a generic overview and feature comparison on how we compare to the competition. Is there any question on this at this stage?
Yes, Stephen. So Sukumar was asking, can we use web access instead of jump server?
Can we use web access? Yes, absolutely. So we have a specific module for web access. We have also remote access using SSH over a browser. So yes, that's absolutely possible. I see Mustafa already answered to that. Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Hi, Stephen. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I answered the question, but if anyone wants me to deep diver and explain more, please let me know. Basically, you can log into SSH, RDP, VNC, and SQL servers using basically clicking on the connect button in the web browser, and it will launch the session within your browser. And for the other question that mentioned about since you are going through a jump server, and then where the privileged IDs are handled. So when you are trying to connect to, let's say, an RDP server, and you are using our native Windows, Linux, Mac client application that always runs in your system if you want to, or you're using just the web browser, and then you click on connect button, and there, as soon as you click on that connect button, it generates a random username and a random password, and you will be basically passing that to the jump server. And it is all automatically handled, basically with the RDP file that you download, for instance, in case of RDP. And then you just, if you look inside the RDP file, you will see that there is a random username and random password. And it's only valid for 1 minute, and it's only valid for the system that you generated it from. So that's how the IDs are handled. Any other questions? Yes, it supports just-in-time access. That's just-in-time access. So it's basically when you are connecting, and also we never pass the real credentials to the user. And even if it is a client application, like there are some certain PAM solutions in the market that the client application is required, and that client application is actually, if you look inside the protocol, it's receiving the real credentials. We don't pass the real credentials. It is only generated on the when you need the access, and as you get the access, it is when you close the session and access is gone. Yes, of course. You have to log into PAM. As for the question is there any other authentication? So not only authentication, but admins can also enforce two-factor authentication, and they can enforce for multiple things. Admins can enforce two-factor authentication for basically one user and or for entire organization, and then when they are logging into the PAM, then that is what the login. Then they will be able to basically generate tokens for logging into RDP and SSH, and they can also require, admins can require two-factor authentication for specific assets. So they can say, when someone tries to connect to this and this production servers, they need to have two-factor authentication. And you can even get granular level and enforce the two-factor authentication type, because we support too many. There is like 4, 5, 6, 7 different types of authentication methods. And how privileged session works with RDP license. So we don't touch the server side. There is no agent on the server side. There is no app running on the server side. It's completely agentless. So exactly how you were handling licenses with Windows Server before, that's going to stay the same, exactly the same. We don't, have anything in there. I don't know. Maybe other products have. I don't know the origin of that question, but yes, it's just we don't deal with the licenses. It just comes. You just connect straight like how you did before PAM. You will see absolutely no difference. As Belgian says, I can actually share I'm sharing my screen. I can show you these things in the console. Once we're done with the questions, I guess, or should I move forward?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Someone else writing questions, but okay. Let me just share the screen. Everyone's seeing my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is I'm logging in through our CIP platform, where all of our products actually are interconnected. Oh, by the way, this is the browser extension for PAM. So if you want to use also this PAM as your personal password manager for websites and portals and dashboards and consoles that you log into, you can install our browser extension. And this is encrypted and decrypted at the client side, like here in the browser side. So you basically log in, and then you will see your containers and your credentials. And if you type something like GitLab or something, it will show you the site. Or if you actually go to visit the website that you have credentials for, it will actually just fill it for you, just like any password manager, like LastPass, Dashlane, whatever. So this will save you another vendor, right? We already have, as you can see, we have endpoint security deception, email privilege access management, and many other products. And we are trying to save you the hassle of going through various different vendors and also signing contracts and maintaining those contracts and integrating these products with each other, which you will end up buying another product from another vendor to integrate and combine these things together, something like SOAR. So here we have the CIP dashboard. First, this is quick access menu, their asset management intelligence, but I'm going to leave that. Let's go to privilege access management. This is for privilege access management. So this is our privilege access management product dashboard. Oh, by the way, if you don't use multiple products from our company, you don't have to go through CIP. You can just go through the PAM dashboard. So this is PAM web page, login page. So this is different, and this is for CIP. So in here, you will be able to see basically your in the dashboard. You see quick access to things that you connect frequently, and you can customize these dashboards, play around. We even have a widget designer in the dashboard, so you can design these widgets and graphs and charts as you like. On the top, you see there is again integration with all of our other products. There is the light mode and the dark mode, depending on which one you prefer. And there is downloading installers for desktop application, as I said, Windows, Linux, Mac, and also the jump server proxy application. And this is the desktop application, by the way. So if you log in, you will see your containers, your passwords, and here is the assets. If you double click on this SSH, it will just log you into an SSH. And it always, when it closes, it sits in the system tray. So that makes things faster. And here you will be able to see the notifications. For instance, this one, we detected an anomaly in the login. So you will be able to, we'll come to that later. And there's also product documentation, proxy documentation, API documentation, and the service status page. So basically using our API documentation, which is extremely comprehensive, and it covers every single API. That you will see the list of all the APIs in here, and it's categorized based on group of a feature. Based on feature is categorized and grouped. So you will be able to see a sample call, and then a curl, copy paste, and then parameters and response code. So there's also status page, which you can have it up and running in your monitor, and basically. When something goes down, right? Jump server goes down, LDAP goes down, Active Directory, syslog, something goes down, you will get a notification and it will alert you, and as well as you can see that in your screen. And if storage is over, it's almost over, or RAM or CPU, you will have live stats and charts. So that being said, I'm just going to go quickly into Credentials Manager. So here in the Credentials Manager is what I showed you, right? This is the browser extension. And this is like if I type Facebook, you see that this one shows up. And if I click on it, it will take me to that page and try to log into the Facebook with those credentials. Just typical LastPass dash lane type of deal. As I said, trying to save another vendor. You don't have to sign for Password Manager. It's a comprehensive. There's Android application, iOS application, Windows, Linux, Mac, and browser extension, as you can see, for every single browser that's out there, common ones. So there's also a way of securely storing notes. So you can use this for things that are not password, but sensitive, that needs to be stored in encrypted state. It can be, I don't know, maybe software licenses, product keys, or things of that sort that you can really store as a credential. And then there's also files where you can drag and drop files in here, and it will be stored in your encrypted container, and you can access this from any other browser or the client application. And I'm not going to stop a lot for this. This is not the main topic of PAM. For more comprehensive demos, we can do follow up later. But this is just a LastPass dash lane replacement, right? Just a password manager. Let's go to PAM. So PAM, obviously, is the main topic. So here I'm just going to quickly, this is not important, just dashboard, but I'm just going to quickly walk you through an onboarding process. So you see how it works, right? Let's say you're trying to deploy PAM in your environment step by step, right? So the first step is always going through the asset credentials. This just happened, a week ago with a bank. We helped them. So basically, what they did is they had a lot of Active Directory admin accounts in their Active Directory, and then they had a lot of SSH keys, obviously. So we have Active Directory integration, which you can pull those accounts, privileged accounts, pull to PAM and delegate it to PAM. So PAM will own those accounts, will rotate those accounts, and you will never see those accounts anymore. And it just PAM owns them and manages them. So once you click on any of these assets, you will see that this one is a MS SQL credential. This is the username, and you can see that it is part of a break glass container. We'll come to that as well. But you can import from cloud, import from Active Directory, rescan the Active Directory and create asset credential, or import from. For now, we have import from 𝗚𝗏𝗃𝗁 for our clients who are migrating from 𝗚𝗏𝗃𝗁. So if you click on create asset credential manually, you can basically just select the type of the asset. So you can say it's a web, a SQL, MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, RDP, SSH telnet VNC. So I don't know, let's say SSH, you will be able to see enter username or the password, or you can just say I have SSH keys, and then you just drag and drop and upload your SSH key in here, and you will be able to use this asset's credential later and associate this with, say, 20, 30 SSH servers, or if it is a RDP, same story, right? You can enter the username and password and associate this username and password to many Active Directory, RDP Windows servers. So this is where you are basically adding your credentials. And the next tab, once you're done, like you imported Active Directory accounts, you imported your SSH keys. Next is importing now the assets. Same story. We have Active Directory integration. You will be able to pull the servers from Active Directory. If you have cloud, we have cloud integration. You will be able to pull from cloud. And we have native client for Azure, AWS, and G-Cloud. So you will be able to import those automatically. Or you can just manually, again, same story, right? You can go here, create asset, and just choose the asset type. Say it's an RDP server. You enter the host name, and you choose the credential that you added in the previous step. So you can add multiple credentials and associate, let's say, 10 credentials to one asset. And then you can also narrow down the jump server. So let's say you have network segmentation, right? You don't have to choose this. This is an optional option. So you can basically say, let's say you have a network segmentation and a specific VLAN that is so restrictive that no one can access it unless you're in that range, right? So if you have not chosen the jump server and you haven't put a jump server in that VLAN, in that node, you might have connectivity issues. But you can say, okay, in order to access this asset that I'm trying to add, it has to go through the active jump server number 1. So the PAM will know, okay, this one is on cloud, so I have to talk to jump server on cloud. This one is in this VLAN, so I have to talk to that jump server in that VLAN. So you will be able to basically do that. And then, there is credentials in here. You can, obviously, that we already added the sample one. There's asset grouping. There is visibility limitations. That's the more advanced stuff, but we can talk about that later. And then workflow detail, will come to that after this. So let's say that's it. That's really pretty much it. After this, everything is just to organize what you just did, right? So now you will be able to just create asset groups and then design an access request workflow. So I'm just going to quickly do one access request workflow design, and then we'll go back to the actual connection. So in here, in access request workflow, you will be able to basically dynamically design a workflow where you will be able to just use that workflow to grant access to people. So I can just really just drag and drop let's say 3 users and save and say step 1, pre-verification, something like that, right? Just the verification. And then I can say this is just the verification phase for these users. So I save this, I created step 1, 3 admins are just going to check and say if this is okay or not. And then we can drag and drop more users and then say, okay, this is going to be step 2. This is an admin review, right? So these are the admins going to review this. And I can say these admins can edit the original, can view the history, and can edit the request. So they will be able to edit the request. If user requested access 24/7, admins can restrict that, say you have access to this asset. I'm going to grant you the access, but not original request, but I'm going to give you access 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, something like that. You can do that. And then you can also choose certain users or user group or user roles to get notification. So they are notification only users. They don't have a say, but they will get notifications when that step is approved or rejected. And then you just drag and drop and design these steps as easy as it is, right? You just drag and drop. I've never seen anything like this in any PAM product, but this is what we have. You can very, very easily design your workflow and now associate this workflow to an asset group, or in all assets. So that's how you can basically create an access request workflow. Now, all that is done, right? We are done with all this, and now we just want to go back and now I want to actually connect. Right now, I just want to connect to. Let's start with top. Start with SSH. Right. So with the SSH, here's my login pattern. So system is learning from my login pattern. This is used for anomaly detection, basically. And then you will be able to connect with multiple methods, right? So one is just connect, regular connect, and I have to enter the reason. And admins can enforce the reason, right? And then there is connect without a reason. Because admins didn't enforce, I can just click on it and connect. And then direct connect, which is basically the way that you can connect to SSH, RDP, VNC, SQL ones, is basically you can connect using your PAM username and password, or if you have Active Directory and 𝗚𝗏𝘃𝗀𝗃 integration enabled, you will be able to straight just SSH into a box using and passing your Active Directory username and password through 𝗚𝗏𝘃𝗀𝗃. So we'll come to that. And then there is just viewing the details. So I'm just going to go with the regular step-by-step. I want to show you the whole process. So I just click on connect, and it asks me for a reason. I say, updating OS packages, something like that in the Ubuntu server. And as you can see, it randomly generated a username and a password. Obviously, I can open a browser right here. I will do that later, but I want to show you the more sophisticated one. This browser is supported in many, many products, so that's nothing advanced. And they're all using 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃, so it's nothing special. So we just copy this, and then I'm going to show you the actual connection going through the native client in your system. So let's see, maybe the server is down. 1 second. I think the server is down. Let me try another server till I will ask them to fix. Till that, let me go with the Windows one. Okay, let's try this one. Let's see if this one goes through. Okay, let's try and open in browser for this one and then go back to native. Okay. Now I got it. Sorry, my bad. It's not a problem. It's my VPN. Sorry. Let me just connect to VPN. It should work. Connecting. All right. Sorry, my bad. Let's go back. Sorry about that. Let's go back here. Okay, let's try again. Oh, yeah. I just logged out. IP changed. So try again. Sorry. Yeah, it's when IP changes, it detects the IP change, so you have to log in again. Your session is invalid. Your session is binded to your IP. So sorry about that. Let's go back to my access and the SSH. Okay, so now let's go back to the same thing, updating OS package, and then connect, and then generate the user and password, paste it in here. There you go. All right, so I logged in now through the SSH jump server, and now I'm in, and as you can see, this banner is injected into the session. It says RevBits PAM, this session is being recorded. So this is going to happen every time we connect through jump server. And what you can do is basically now admins can go to active sessions, and this is a session that we have. All right, so this is the session that is me that I just connected. And this is the reason that I'm connected. This is my username, and details are there, demo SSH, and the reason was there. Everything is here, right? Then the protocols and the jump server. Now, what admins can do is they can do live streaming. They can watch my sessions. So as you can see, let's keep that up. Did I click it away? Yeah. So where does it go? So okay, so here, if I type host name, as you can see, the left side, the video getting updated. Whatever I do in here gets updated, and when I run a command, it shows on the top right, on the right side. So if I type ls-lah, you can see the video is getting updated, and if I enter the video and the keyword, the command that I ran is going to be here. So basically, this is same for SSH. And remember, important thing is I'm using native client. This is a PuTTY and native client. I didn't use custom client application. I didn't use in browser. If you want, I can show you in browser, but that's nothing special. And sorry. So instead of me closing the session, I want to show you the forceful admin closing the session. So as you can see, the session is still live, right? So session is there, but I want to forcefully close the session, and I want to explain it. A violation of a policy, something like that, right? It's just user is violating some policy, and if you go back to it, as you can see, the session is dead. So it doesn't work anymore, and it's gone. So when a session is concluded, either admins were watching it live or not, it doesn't matter. So when session is concluded, it goes here to the session logs. So this is historical logs of all sessions. As you can see, this one is highlighted yellow. And if you hover over it, actually it tells you why it's highlighted yellow, because it is closed by admin forcefully. So if admins close the session forcefully, that's going to be highlighted. And if there is a attempt to run a blocked command or a blocked keyword, that's going to highlight red, as well as if they run and type a keyword that's in watch list. So there are two things you can do in our PAM. First, you can block certain commands. I'm not a big fan of, because it's easy to bypass in every solution. It's not our solution. You can do scripting, you can do obfuscation encryption, bypass that. But anyway, we have that feature, but you will be able to block certain commands, as well as you will be able to add certain keywords to watch list. Let's say you have a very sensitive database that contains PII and users' information. You want to know if anyone accessed or typed that word throughout their session. You will be able to do that. And here you see the reason for connection, reason for admin closing it, all the details about the user and their IP address. And if you go to key logs tab, you will be able to see all the commands that they ran, host name, LS, and ID. And in the video section, you will be able to watch the video of that session. Whole video is there. Yeah, so this is throughout the session, and you will be able to see that. And if you click on a certain keyword, the command, let's say ID, it will jump to that moment in the video, as you can see, where the user typed the ID command. So you will be able to do that as well. And I want to also show you an RDP one as well. So maybe RDP one I can do in the browser, since someone asked, but it doesn't matter. We support native and in browser. So I'm going to connect without a reason for this one. And for this one, I can do in browser. And you can choose the display. I don't know. I'm in VM, so let's go with this one. Let's see if I can handle it and see how it goes. Okay, this is on. And let's see if I can make this a bigger. Yeah. This is good. Okay. Yeah. So as you can see, I logged into the server and I'm in the browser, and this is going on. I typed a couple of keywords, right? So and if I close the session, my session, again, the exact same story. The key logs, the videos. Let's go find it. Actually, it's in the session logs. So here you go. So here you will be able to see, basically, this is me again connected, and you will be able to see the key logs. So these are the things, test that I typed. So same story ended with the videos. So if you go to the video section, you can play, and there you go. That's my session, right? So you will be able to see that. Same story. So these are pretty standard. The important difference here is that we have a native client support, integrated workflow designer, support for SQL ones. That's very important. None of the PAM products in the market have. So you will be able to basically just use SQL Management Studio to connect. Actually, if anyone is interested, I can show you that too. But I see two questions. How the enterprise license model work for RevBits PAM? Enterprise license model? I don't know. I will leave that stuff to Steven. And the other one is, what are supported platforms for automatic password rotation? Oh, good question. Very good question. So when the passwords, as I said, right, PAM rotates these passwords. And so which protocols we support? All of them. So if it is a SQL, we rotate the SQL passwords. If it is SSH, we rotate SSH password or SSH key. If it is Active Directory account, we rotate the Active Directory password. So answer is all of the above, all of them, all the protocols that we support. And Steven, if you want to take over the microphone, it's fine. If you want to answer it, I see you typing.
Yeah, so quickly. So in terms of the licensing for RevBits PAM is based on the user number of users. So we don't have We don't count the number of assets you connect to, so no servers which you need to license. So typically just on the number of users and the number of jump servers, depending on how you want your high availability and so forth and so on, and scalability of the jump servers and the number of concurrent sessions. But those two are the only metrics for licensing. So we don't also do standard and enterprise-wide licensing, unlimited usage, but obviously we can talk about that. But by default, it's user-based only, and we see from different case-by-cases that because we don't count the servers, it's quite competitive compared to the competition.
Great, thank you. And to answer Tony's question, what is the first? Concurrent user license, concurrent use sessions. So it's for the license is every jump server is restricted to handle 20 concurrent jump sessions. So at the same time, 20 people will be able to connect for that license. And for threat management capabilities, basically, Tony, this is mainly PAM. So there is jump server. There is a behavior anomaly detection. There is privileged access management. There is CI/CD tools and service account stuff and scanner, active local admin account scanner, service account scanner. So it will find the hidden local admin accounts, hidden admin accounts in Active Directory, and it will be able to basically help you with some of the threat management capabilities. But we have other products as well, right? The endpoint security, I would say that's more for that. And for the restriction on each jump server, that's just that, right? 20 sessions, concurrent sessions in one jump server, and that's the only licensing restriction in the jump server.
Yeah. So to be clear, so the user base, so you license the number of users, so the named users which you want to connect to PAM. So that's the named user part, and then for the jump servers, because the jump server is restricted to 20 concurrent sessions. There you're going to define how many jump servers you're needing. So, but the base user license is a named user license. The number of jump servers will reflect the number of concurrent sessions.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Steven, I should cover there? The other stuff are more advanced, like the CI/CD stuff or database activity monitoring. Yeah, time is running. The device MFA. There's so many things. We are basically in PAM. Yeah,
I think we touched up on the main differentiators. So as discussed also with Belgian, is if anyone wants a more personalized demo from people who are on the call, you can contact Channel Next, and we'll be able to work with them to give you a personalized demo. If you want to do a bit further and you want to experience our software, we're also able to provide you with a POC possibility. If you want to test some scenarios, that's absolutely fine. I also want to say that we're not just pushing our licenses out there. We are very much focused on keeping our customers happy and engaged and being referenceable for us. So that's why included in the license fee, we have the implementation included there. So there is because we are so modern and so fast and so scalable, we're happy to help you out, and we do the implementation to make sure that you're 100% satisfied. So we don't need months to implement. You don't need an implementation plan from external third parties. We will implement the solution for you, and you will be 100% happy. So that is the idea. But I see another question.
Yes. Key management cloud platform, basically AWS Azure G Cloud. But as Steven just was saying, we will be happy to help you with our clients, basically with custom integrations. As you saw, we developed that 𝗏𝗏𝘅𝗏𝗏 importer for a client actually who was migrating from 𝗏𝗏𝘅𝗏𝗏𝗏. So if you have a specific need, custom integration, let's say you're using Oracle Cloud, we will be able to work with you and develop and deliver that very quickly. Mobile app, yes, there is mobile app for PAM. There is Android and iOS app for PAM admins once you log in. And the better one, I know what you're thinking about, like the admins, and you also was asking about the threat capability. So better one would be CIP mobile app. So you are thinking about detecting a threat or someone trying to do something malicious. PAM mobile app is for more like managing PAM. You will get notifications as well, but in terms of detecting anomaly, detecting a threat, detecting a hacker trying to do something, that is, I think, the best is CIP. and using our other modules and products that you see on the screen, right? So you will be able to basically get the notification if some sensors in the endpoint is detecting anomaly, or deception technology caught a attacker, or email security caught a phishing email, and PAM and so on, right? So it is the CIP mobile app that we have that's also available in Android and iOS. As soon as there is an abnormal activity and something is odd, even in PAM, right? A behavior anomaly, there is behavior analytics in here. As I was saying, it's in the learning phase and it's learning your activities. You will be able to see that, if someone is out of norm and doing something odd, this is all the training material, so it's learning. You will be able to just correlate that and then get a notification based on users' activity. And there is also, as I said, local and Active Directory scanner. You will be able to find if someone enabled their local admin account in their system, in their workstation. And it's cloud. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so to answer the question from Tony on the way to prevent a hacker who tries to create a new user in the middle of the night. So if you're just having PAM, then we have the anomaly detection, which will see that. Or you can set the restriction of creating new users for a certain timing. But that's also part of PAM, and not necessarily CIP is better, but also PAM will be able to notify you for that, right?
Correct. And also you can have restricted commands like in Linux, like add user. So you can try to prevent the user from adding a user with that command. I see some other questions are coming. Let's see.
So we can take up one more question, and all other questions we can answer them via mail.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there is, where did it go? Okay, does the PAM support dual approval process? Dual approval process we have in our endpoint security. In our PAM, we don't have it yet. That will bring it in here as well. So there is workflow designer. So in the workflow designer, you can say when you're granting access to user, as I showed you, right, step 1, step 2, step 3, you can add n number of steps for approval. But there is something very special that we have in endpoint security that will come here as well. But here we already support that with workflow designer, a different way. The other question I saw that jumped up, what if PAM server is encrypted with virus, how to roll back the previous step? Oh, we have automatic database backups. And honestly, PAM server, if it is getting encrypted with the virus, is a little bit unlikely, because it is not for something that everyone is going to log in, log out every day, right? So it's something that's a locked up box, and you just run it and leave and forget about it. It's not something that you log in frequently. Even for updates we have in the web. So it's a very locked up virtual machine and a server, so you don't really go back to it much. But let's say it happened. There is always SQL backups daily, weekly, monthly. You can choose the frequency and the location where it is getting stored. So if you're using S3, you can store them in S3. If you're using other cloud providers or a Samba share or NFS share, you will be able to do that. You can even take offline backups, which is much safer, but yes. Just to show quickly as the other questions are coming, this is the database backup manager. This is where you design the automatic backups and the settings about it. And for the storage that I just was talking about is somewhere in here. I don't see it. Yeah, here is System Storage Manager. So our primary storage is right now using this system's local storage, obviously the hard disk, but you can add Samba, CIFS, NFS, or S3 share. So you can select S3, select the region, select the bucket, and then you will be able to just save it in the S3. And yeah.
Just to go back, I might have missed it, but I think you answered the question from Tony on the dual approval process. So we have the workflow manager where you can add as many steps as you want. So we support an N approval process, right?
Yes, that's correct. But there is something else that you remember what we have in endpoint, right? So something like that for a specific action, for instance, for a policy, right? Not necessarily for access, but let's say you want to say if someone wants to grant access, not access. Let's say you want to create a new admin account, so that needs to go through dual process. So something like what we have in endpoint security, that type of things that we can bring that over. And for the two-factor authentication, it's, I think, in here, in this user settings. Yeah. So here, there is OTP, there is SMS, there is security key, which is YubiKey, and so on, and Titan key, and then also mobile verification. So this is a RevBits PAM mobile push notification. So you will be able to basically use this mobile push notification in order to just see approve your account. So that's also there. Yeah, there is sessions. Yeah, here you will see the active sessions that's in your system and previous sessions, and the credentials and info. Yeah, so that I think I answered. Any other questions?
No, I think we're already over time, 𝗚𝗲𝘅𝘁𝗶𝗃𝗃. So from RevBits side anyway, I want to thank everybody for attending. I hope we could show you what we can do in terms of PAM. If you want more information, if you want to see a demo, don't hesitate. Reach out to Channel Next. I will be certainly able to accommodate to do a bit more of a deep dive or a POC, as I said. So we very much.
Belgian, we answered that. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, we support all the platforms for key rotation. Yeah. Sorry.
All right, no, fine. Rosella, you want to close it down?
Yeah. Thank you all for joining. So we'll be sending out emails with the presentation and details about RevBits PAM. Hope to see you again. Thank you all for joining.
And sorry, one last thing. We support different location for the server. Yes, and you can have one in cloud, one in the. You just have to put a jump server in different networks. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Mustafa. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.